She was celebrating her birthday alone until the Millionaire CEO ate half of her cake. Before we begin the story, leave a comment telling us from which city you are watching. And at the end, don't forget to rate this story from 0 to 10. Enjoy the story. There comes a moment in life when loneliness knocks at the door and walks in without asking permission. For Emma Sullivan, that moment happened on the 45th floor of West Corp at 11:47 p.m. on a cold Tuesday night in Boise, Idaho, holding a supermarket cake that cost $7.99. $7.99. Not even the full $8. That's how little it was worth. But it was her birthday. 25 years old. A quarter of a century on this planet, and the only thing Emma had to celebrate with was a cheap chocolate cake with plastic frosting and a crooked candle she had stolen from the supply closet on the second floor. The corporate party had ended an hour earlier. The kind of party where everyone pretends to like each other while drinking bad wine and laughing at jokes that aren't funny. Emma had spent the whole night collecting half-empty champagne glasses, cleaning up crumbs from appetizers nobody touched, and being absolutely, completely, painfully invisible. As always, she placed the cake on the stainless steel counter in the staff kitchen, right in the center, as if it were some kind of sacred ritual, because it was. This was her moment, the only moment of the day. There were 13 minutes left before midnight, and she was going to light that ridiculous candle, make a silly wish, and pretend someone cared. Just you and me, little cake. Emma whispered, stroking the cardboard box. Against the world. She ran down the hall to the supply closet because, of course, she had forgotten the candle. Typical Emma, always forgetting something. Her whole life was one long sequence of, oh no, I forgot that. When she came back, 30 seconds later at most, the sight nearly made her faint. The cake was still there, but half of it had simply disappeared. And sitting on the stainless steel counter, legs swinging casually as if he were at home, was him. Lucas West. The Lucas West, CEO of West Corp, billionaire, 32 years old, perfectly combed black hair, wearing a suit that probably cost more than her non-existent car, with a spoon in his right hand. He was eating her cake. Not nibbling, not tasting, devouring, as if it were the last meal of his life. Emma froze in the doorway, clutching the crooked candle as if it were a weapon. Her brain short-circuited. Every word she had ever known vanished. She stood there, mouth open, eyes wide, watching the richest man in Idaho eat the cheapest cake in Idaho. He didn't even look at her. He just kept eating. "Excuse me," Emma managed to whisper, though her voice came out so soft she could barely hear it herself. Nothing. He shoved another huge spoonful into his mouth. "Excuse me," she repeated, this time louder. Lucas finally looked up. His gaze moved slowly over her, without hurry, without guilt, with that bored expression of someone who sees people all the time and remembers none of them. "What do you want?" he asked, chewing. "Are you here to clean the kitchen?" Silence. Emma blinked. Once, twice. Clean the kitchen? Did he really just ask that? She looked down at her own uniform, black pants, white blouse, ID badge hanging from her neck with the words staff in bold letters. Of course, to him, she was just another employee, another invisible cog in the corporate machine. But that cake, that ridiculous cake. "This cake," Emma began, trying to keep her voice steady, "is mine." He stopped chewing, looked at the cake, looked at her, looked back at the cake. "Yours?" he repeated, as if the word were foreign. "Yes, mine, M-I-N-E, bought with my own money, at Walmart bakery section, $7.99. Lucas West blinked slowly, processing. Then he shrugged. "Want some?" Emma laughed. It wasn't a sweet feminine laugh. It was a hysterical burst, the kind of laugh that happens right before a breakdown. "Do I want some?" she repeated, incredulous. "Of my cake?" He frowned. "Are you all right? You ate half of my birthday cake." Silence. Total. Absolute. Lucas West lowered the spoon slowly, as if she had just announced there was a bomb in the room. "Birthday?" he murmured. "Yes. Birthday. That thing that happens once a year when you're supposed to be happy, but instead you end up alone in a corporate kitchen at 11:50 p.m. with a cake that cost less than $8 that was stolen by the CEO of the company." He placed the spoon on the counter, got down from the counter, and for the first time since Emma had entered the room, he actually looked at her. I didn't know," he said, and for the first time in his life, Something close to embarrassment slipped into Lucas West's voice. "Of course you didn't know," Emma replied, wiping away a ridiculous tear that had escaped without permission. "Nobody knows. Nobody ever knows." He stood there, hands in his pockets, looking genuinely lost, as if he had just run over a dog and didn't know what to do next. "I was hungry," he tried to justify. "I spent 4 hours at that party, listening to people talk about stocks and mergers and—" He ran a hand through his hair, ruining the perfection. "I just wanted to eat something real. And you chose my cake. I didn't know it was yours. It was in the kitchen. I thought it was leftovers from the party or something." "Leftovers," Emma shouted, pointing at the destroyed remains. "Does this look like leftovers from a fancy party?" Lucas looked at the cake, at the crumpled cardboard box, at the cheap frosting stuck to the sides. And then he laughed. A low, short, almost unbelievable laugh. Lucas West, the man who never smiled, who signed termination papers without blinking, who made rival CEOs tremble, was laughing. "You're right," he admitted, shaking his head. "This definitely doesn't look like fancy party leftovers." Emma crossed her arms, still furious. But then something strange happened. She started laughing too. She didn't want to, but it was impossible not to see the absurdity. There they were, her and the most powerful man in Idaho, on the 45th floor, arguing over a supermarket cake. "Look," he sighed, picking up the little box with what was left. "I'm sorry. Really, let me fix this." "Fix it? What are you going to do, spit the cake back out?" He laughed again. "Not exactly." Lucas grabbed 2 clean spoons from the drawer, handed one to Emma, and sat down on the kitchen floor. That's right, on the floor in his $3,000 suit. "Let's share what's left," he said, patting the floor beside him. "Happy birthday. Sorry for stealing your cake." And there, sitting on the cold floor of an empty corporate kitchen with the most unreachable man in the world, Emma ate the rest of her birthday cake. And for the first time in a long while, she didn't feel completely alone. The silence that followed was the strange kind. Not uncomfortable, but not exactly comfortable either. It was like being stuck in an elevator with someone famous. You know you should say something, but every sentence that comes to mind sounds ridiculous. Emma stirred the leftover frosting with her spoon, trying not to look directly at Lucas West, because frankly, the whole thing was too bizarre. She was sitting on the floor of a corporate kitchen, eating cake with the company's CEO, the man who appeared on the cover of Forbes, the man who owned a helicopter, and she could barely pay her rent. "So," Lucas broke the silence, still chewing, "how long have you worked here?" Emma almost choked. "Seriously, you're going to ask me questions now? After stealing my birthday cake?" He stopped, spoon in midair, and stared at her with that confused expression he probably never used in board meetings. "I already apologized." "No, you said sorry for stealing your cake while you kept eating. That's not an apology. That's a confession." Lucas West blinked, then let out a short laugh, almost involuntary. "Do you always talk like this?" "Like what?" "Like you're not afraid of anything." Emma laughed out loud. Bitter. "Cake thief, I'm afraid of everything. The electric bill, the landlord, dying alone with 12 cats. But since you've already ruined my birthday, I have nothing else to lose today." He smiled, a small but genuine smile. "Cake thief? That's your new name. Congratulations, you've just earned a ridiculous nickname. No one's ever given me a nickname before." "Really? Not even Your Majesty or Mr. All-Powerful?" "Those don't count, they're titles." Emma rolled her eyes, but couldn't hold back a smile. There was something strangely liberating about teasing the most powerful man in Idaho, like bungee jumping, terrifying but addictive. Lucas tilted his head, studying her with genuine curiosity, as if Emma were a puzzle he couldn't solve. "You're different," he said slowly. "Different from what?" "From the people who work here, from the people who talk to me." "That's because I'm invisible," Emma answered, pushing her spoon back into the little box. "No one notices me, so I never learned to filter myself." "Invisible?" "You know when you pass someone in the hallway and don't even register that the person exists? That's me. The cleaning girl, the one who serves coffee, the one who picks up glasses after the fancy parties." Lucas frowned, as if processing impossible information. I didn't know." "Of course you didn't. Why would you?" Emma shrugged, trying to sound casual, but the pain was there, throbbing. "I'm part of the furniture. Useful, but forgettable." He stayed silent for a moment, then took the last slice of cake, the one with the most frosting, and placed it on her side. "This is yours." Emma looked at the slice, then at him. "Why?" "Because it's your birthday, and because—" He hesitated, running his hand through his hair again, that gesture that ruined the perfection, because no one should feel invisible, especially today. Something tightened in Emma's chest. It wasn't passion, it wasn't romance. It was something simpler and more complicated at the same time. It was being seen. She grabbed the slice and took a huge bite, just so she didn't have to say anything. "You're strange," Lucas said, but he was smiling. "Thank you?" It was a compliment. "You're terrible at compliments." "I know." They sat there on the floor, finishing the cake in silence. Emma expected him to leave at any moment, to remember he was a billionaire CEO with more important things to do than eat grocery store cake with a cleaning staff worker. But he didn't leave. He stayed. And Emma didn't know what to do with that. "Can I ask you something?" Lucas said, breaking the silence again. "If it's about suing you for stealing cake, I'm already considering it." He laughed. That short laugh that sounded rusty, as if he no longer knew how to use it. "No, it's about—" He hesitated. "Why were you alone on your birthday?" Emma felt her chest tighten again, but this time it wasn't a good feeling. "Because I don't have anyone," she answered, too simple and too honest. "My parents died when I was 19. I don't have siblings, friends. Well, it's hard to make friends when you work 3 shifts and can barely pay the bills." Lucas didn't say anything. He just looked at her with an expression Emma couldn't decipher. "Sorry," she murmured. "That was too heavy." "No," he answered quickly. "It wasn't. I understand." "You understand?" Emma raised an eyebrow. "The billionaire CEO understands loneliness?" "You'd be surprised," he said quietly, almost to himself. Emma was about to ask what he meant, but before she could, Lucas stood up, brushing off his suit pants as if he could erase the fact that he had spent the last 20 minutes sitting on the floor. "I should go," he said, but he didn't move. "Yeah, me too," Emma replied, but she didn't move either. They stayed there, frozen, looking at each other, and then Lucas asked the question. "What's your name?" "Your real name?" Emma froze. This was the moment to say it, to be honest, to exist, even if just for a second, in his world. But fear was stronger. The fear of being forgotten again. The fear of becoming just another name on a list of employees he would never look at twice. "No one important," Emma answered, forcing a smile. Lucas frowned. "That's not a name. For you, it's enough." She grabbed the empty cake box, tossed it in the trash, and walked out of the kitchen before he could say anything. Before she could change her mind. Before she could admit that, for the first time in years, she had wished to be someone. Someone who mattered. The next day, Emma woke up with the feeling she had dreamed it all. The cake, the CEO sitting on the floor, the strange and unexpectedly honest conversation. It had to be a dream, because things like that didn't happen to her. Emma Sullivan didn't have movie-like encounters with billionaires. Emma Sullivan cleaned up the crumbs from other people's movie-like encounters. But when she arrived at work the next morning, at 6:30 sharp as always, the empty cake box was still in the trash in the 45th floor kitchen. Physical proof. It had really happened. "Great," Emma muttered to herself, tying her apron. "Now I just have to avoid the most powerful man in the building for the rest of my life." Easy. The plan was simple. Head down, mouth shut, invisibility reactivated. Go back to being the usual Emma, the one no one noticed, the one who walked through the halls like a well-intentioned ghost with a cleaning cart. It worked for exactly 3 hours and 42 minutes. Until someone buzzed the intercom on the 2nd floor asking for coffee in the executive mezzanine. Emma sighed. Of course, because the universe had a cruel sense of humor. She prepared the tray with 6 cups of espresso, 2 bottles of sparkling water, and those fancy cookies that cost more than her lunch. She balanced everything with the skill of someone who had done it for years and took the elevator up, praying not to run into anyone important. The doors opened on the mezzanine, and there he was, Lucas West, standing right in front of the elevator as if he'd been waiting, wearing another impeccable suit, this one probably worth $4,000, with that air of someone who ran the world before breakfast. His eyes met hers, and he smiled. It wasn't a corporate smile. It was that small, almost secret smile that said, "I remember you." Emma's mind went into panic. Her hands started to shake. The tray tilted, and then, like in slow motion, everything collapsed. Literally. 6 cups of hot espresso flew in perfect sync, drawing artistic arcs before crashing straight onto Lucas West's $4,000 suit. The silence that followed was deafening. The entire mezzanine, at least 20 people, froze. Secretaries stopped typing, executives stopped mid-sentence. Even the air conditioner seemed to stop working. Emma looked at the disaster, at the coffee dripping down his jacket, at the brown stains spreading across his spotless white shirt, at the fancy cookies shattered on the marble floor. She began, but no sound came out. Lucas looked down at the coffee soaking his clothes, then lifted his eyes to her. And Emma braced herself for the worst. The yelling, the instant firing, being escorted out of the building by security while everyone watched. But what came was completely unexpected. Lucas West started laughing. Not a polite chuckle, a loud, genuine laugh, the kind that shakes the whole body. "You?" he tried to say through the laughter. "You just threw 6 coffees on me." "I know," Emma almost shouted, panicked. "I know, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I'll pay for the dry cleaning, or buy a new suit, or sell a kidney, whatever you want." He laughed even harder. "A kidney? I have 2, it's kind of redundant anyway." People around them began whispering. Some pulled out their phones. Emma heard the unmistakable sound of someone recording video. Great, perfect. Her most humiliating moment, immortalized for posterity. Lucas took off the soaked jacket and handed it to the nearest secretary, who accepted it as if receiving a sacred relic. "Relax," he said, still smiling. "It's just coffee." "Just coffee?" Emma repeated, hysterical. "That suit probably costs more than my car." "You have a car?" "No, exactly. I don't even have a car to compare it to." He laughed again, shaking his head, and walked off toward his office, leaving a trail of coffee across the marble floor. Emma stood there, holding the empty tray, surrounded by 20 pairs of judging eyes. "What are you all looking at?" she muttered, more to herself than to anyone else. But no one answered. They just kept staring and recording. 3 hours later, the video had already circulated on West Corp's internal network. Employee throws coffee on CEO and he laughs. Emma saw it on a coworker's phone while cleaning the 3rd-floor bathroom. The video had been edited with dramatic music and slow-motion replays. It even had captions. 347 views. 108 comments. Emma didn't want to read them, but it was like watching a car crash, impossible to look away. Who is this girl? She's definitely getting fired. Wait, is Lucas actually laughing? Since when does he laugh at anything? Bet she did it on purpose to get attention. Typical. Always someone trying to take advantage. Emma's stomach turned. For the first time in her life, people were noticing her. And it was awful. At the end of her shift, when Emma was putting away the cleaning cart in the basement storage, Jessica, one of the few coworkers who sometimes talked to her, showed up with that look of someone holding fresh gossip. "You're famous," she said, half laughing, half serious. "I'm a joke," Emma corrected. "Everybody's talking about you, saying you're trying to, get close to him." "Get close?" I threw coffee on him. "Yeah, but he laughed. Lucas West never laughs, and now people are saying you did it on purpose." Emma sat down on a box of cleaning supplies, too tired to stand. "I didn't do anything on purpose. I just exist, and apparently even that I do wrong. Just welcome to the club of people who exist. It's lousy." By the time Emma finally left, it was past 9 at night. The building was almost empty, just a few workaholic executives and the security staff. She walked through the lobby with her head down, as always, hoping no one would notice her. But a voice stopped her. "Hey, nobody important." Emma turned. Lucas West was leaning against the wall near the elevators, wearing a clean suit, probably the 3rd one of the day. "Are you following me now?" Emma asked, too tired to filter her words. "Just wanted to make sure you're okay. I heard the comments." "Oh, so you saw the video?" "Everybody saw the video." Emma gave a bitter smile. "Great, now instead of invisible, I'm pathetic." Lucas stepped forward. "You're not pathetic, you're..." "What? Funny? A walking joke?" "Real," he finished simply. Emma blinked. "Real? Everyone here wears a mask, you don't, and that scares people." She didn't know what to say, so she said nothing. Lucas smiled again, that small smile that was becoming dangerously familiar. "Good night, nobody important," and he walked away. leaving Emma alone in the empty lobby, realizing something terrifying. For the first time in her life, she wanted to be seen. But now that she was being noticed, she wasn't sure she could survive it. Emma had a very simple plan for Thursday. Survive. No coffee, no trays, nothing that could be spilled, dropped, or turned into a viral video. She would clean bathrooms, empty trash cans, and be so incredibly boring that people would forget she even existed. It lasted until 10:15 a.m. That's when the secretary from the 45th floor showed up in the supply closet with the look of someone delivering a death sentence. Emma Sullivan? Emma dropped the mop. Depends. Who's asking? Mr. West wants to see you now. Emma's stomach dropped to the basement. See, me? His office, 45th floor, in 5 minutes, and the secretary left, leaving Emma alone with her rising panic and the smell of pine disinfectant. Great, she muttered, pulling off her rubber gloves. I'm going to get fired. By the man who stole my cake. How poetic. The elevator ride up to the 45th floor felt like an eternity. Emma rehearsed mental speeches. Mr. West, it has been a pleasure working here. No, too formal. Look, sorry about the coffee. No, too casual. Please don't fire me, I need to eat. Too desperate. When the doors opened, the secretary, a woman named Margaret with gray hair and thick glasses, pointed to the huge glass door at the end of the hallway. You can go in. He's waiting. Emma took a deep breath, 3 times, then knocked on the door. Come in. Lucas's voice came from inside. The office was exactly what Emma imagined a billionaire's office would be. Floor-to-ceiling windows with a view of the entire city, a mahogany desk that probably cost more than a car, a real car, not imaginary, shelves full of books that looked like they'd never been read. And Lucas West, sitting behind the desk, no jacket, sleeves rolled up, looking tired and human. Sit, he said, pointing to the leather chair in front of the desk. Emma sat on the edge, as if the chair might explode. Look, she began quickly, about the coffee, I swear it wasn't on purpose. I know you laughed, but if you want to fire me, I understand. Just, can I get my things first? Lucas blinked, then gave that half smile that was becoming familiar. You think I called you here to fire you? Yes? Why would I fire you? Because I spilled coffee on you. That was an accident. Because I called you a cake thief? Technically, I did steal your cake. Because I exist and people think I'm trying to, I don't know, manipulate you or something? Lucas leaned back in his chair, studying her with that intensity that made Emma feel like a book being read. Do you really think I care what people think? You're the CEO of a billion-dollar company. You probably should care. He gave a short but genuine laugh. Fair. But I didn't call you here because of stupid rumors. I called you because, he hesitated, running a hand through his hair, because I want to talk. Emma frowned. Talk? About what? About you. Me? Why? Because you're interesting. Emma burst out laughing, loud and unfiltered. Interesting? I clean bathrooms, literally. There's nothing less interesting than that. You're straightforward, honest, not afraid to tease me. Half the people in this building can barely make eye contact with me. That's because you're intimidating. And you're not intimidated? Of course I am. Emma nearly shouted. You stole my cake, and I still thought I was about to get fired. Lucas laughed again, and there was something in that laugh, something light, unguarded, that made Emma forget for a second where she was. So, he went on, leaning forward, why do you work here? Because I need to pay rent. No. I mean, do you have dreams, goals, things you want to do besides cleaning the 45th floor of West Corp? Emma went silent. No one had ever asked her that before. She began slowly, I wanted to have a small cafe. Nothing fancy, just a place where people could sit, talk, feel like they belong somewhere. Why don't you do it? Emma gave a bitter laugh. Because cafes cost money, and I can barely afford my 1-bedroom apartment with leaks and a neighbor who plays drums at 3 in the morning. Do you have a business plan? I have notebooks full of ideas that will never happen. Does that count? Lucas stayed quiet for a moment, just looking at her with that impossible-to-read expression. Why were you so sad? He suddenly asked. That night with the cake? Why were you alone? Emma felt her chest tighten. Because I'm always alone. Why? Because it's easier. Because when you don't get close to anyone, no one can disappoint you or die or forget you exist. The words slipped out but she could filter them, raw and too honest. Lucas didn't look away. I understand, he said quietly. You understand? Emma raised an eyebrow. Really? You, with millions of dollars and your own helicopter? Money doesn't buy real company, only flatterers. Emma opened her mouth to answer but had nothing to say, because, in a twisted way, she understood. So that's it, she asked. You're bored and I'm… What? Entertainment? No, Lucas replied firmly. You're real and it's been a long time since I've talked to someone real. Emma didn't know what to say. So she did what she always did when she felt uncomfortable. Made a joke. This is very strange. You know this is strange, right? He smiled. Completely. They stayed quiet for a moment. It wasn't uncomfortable. It was strange. But good. Can I go now? Emma asked. Or do you have more existential questions about my pathetic life? Just one more. What? Can I call you Emma? Or do you prefer nobody important? She rolled her eyes but couldn't stop the smile. Emma is fine. Great, because nobody important is too long to shout down the halls. Emma froze. Wait, you're not going to shout my name down the halls. I'm not? No, people already think something's going on. And is there? He asked, with that irritating half-smile. There is not. He laughed loudly, and Emma realized, with absolute horror, that she liked that sound. When she finally left the room, Margaret gave her that judgmental look only a secretary who has seen too much in life can give. He never calls anyone just to talk, she said. Great, Emma muttered. That definitely won't fuel the rumors. But as she walked back to the elevator, her heart beating too fast and her hands still shaking, Emma couldn't stop thinking about one thing. Lucas West was looking for her. And the scariest part? She wanted to be found. Emma had lived 25 years without drawing attention. 25 years of strategic invisibility. And in less than a week, she had managed to become the most talked-about subject at West Corp. Congratulations, Emma. Amazing. On Friday morning, she was in the break room on the 45th floor making fresh coffee, this time with both hands firmly on the pot, because she had learned her lesson when she heard his voice. Good morning. Emma turned. Lucas was leaning against the doorframe, hands in his pockets, with that half-smile that was becoming dangerously familiar. You need to stop appearing out of nowhere, Emma said, trying to sound annoyed, but it came out more nervous. You're going to give me a heart attack. Sorry. CEO habit. We show up in unexpected places to keep everyone on their toes. That's disturbing. I know. He grabbed a cup and poured himself some coffee like a normal person. Emma was still getting used to this version of him, the version that didn't have an assistant to make his coffee, that laughed at bad jokes, and apparently enjoyed talking to cleaning staff. So, Lucas began, far too casually, what do you do on the weekend? Emma nearly choked on her coffee. Sorry, what? Weekend? Saturday, Sunday, those 2 days between work weeks? I know what a weekend is. Just, why are you asking? Curiosity. You're very strange, you know that, right? I've been told. Emma rolled her eyes but couldn't stop the smile. I usually sleep in, watch bad shows, and pretend my life has meaning. And you? Meetings. More meetings and business dinners that last 4 hours where nobody really eats. Wow, that sounds awful. It is. They stood there, drinking coffee in comfortable silence, and Emma was starting to think that maybe, just maybe, this wasn't as bizarre as it seemed. And that was exactly when she appeared. The break room door flew open with dramatic force, the kind of entrance only people used to being the center of attention could pull off. And a woman walked in. Tall, blonde, wearing a red dress that probably cost more than 3 months of Emma's rent, high heels clicking like a death sentence on the marble floor. And she looked straight at Lucas as if Emma didn't exist. Lucas, darling, she said with a voice that was both sweet and venomous. I didn't know you were having coffee in the staff break room. Lucas tensed, visibly as if someone had just thrown a bucket of cold water over him. Sabrina, he said curt. What are you doing here? Ah, Sabrina, the ex-fiancée. Emma had heard the gossip. Everyone at West Corp knew the story. The whirlwind engagement, the devastating breakup, the corporate Cold War that followed. Sabrina finally looked at Emma, and that look felt like being examined and dismissed in less than 2 seconds. And who's this? She asked, with such obvious disdain that even the walls seemed uncomfortable. Emma, Lucas answered before Emma could speak. She works here. Oh, Sabrina smiled, the kind of smile that cut. The cleaning lady. How sweet. Emma felt her face grow hot, not from embarrassment, but from anger. Maintenance and general services technician, she corrected with a smile just as sharp as Schwarp. But cleaning lady works, easier to pronounce. Sabrina arched a perfectly shaped eyebrow. Lucas has always had such a generous heart, talking to every level of the company. Very democratic of you, dear. Sabrina, Lucas cut in, his voice low and dangerous. You weren't invited. I don't need an invitation. I still have my access pass. Remember? When we were engaged and you promised me the world? I gave the world back when you gave back the ring. Good one, Emma thought. But she didn't say a word. She just stood there, holding the coffee pot, feeling small and out of place. Sabrina stepped closer to Lucas, completely ignoring Emma. I came to take care of some business with the board, but what luck to find you here, making coffee with the help. And that's when something inside Emma snapped. Look, she said, setting the pot down on the counter with more force than necessary. I get that you're having a dramatic moment. Clearly rehearsed, probably planned your entrance and everything. But could you maybe have your existential crisis somewhere else? Some of us have work to do. The silence that followed was absolute. Sabrina slowly turned, like a predator just realizing the prey had teeth. Excuse me? You heard me. Or do you want me to repeat it more slowly? How dare you talk to me like that? Easily. I moved my mouth and the words came out. It's actually quite simple. Lucas made a strange sound. Emma realized, horrified, that he was trying not to laugh. Sabrina turned red. Not from shame, but from pure fury. Do you know who I am? She hissed, stepping toward Emma in a threatening way. I do. The X. Every company has one. Usually they stay in the past, but some just can't handle being dismissed. There. Emma had just signed her death sentence. Sabrina opened her mouth to respond, but Lucas stepped forward. Enough. The word came out so cold, so final, that even Emma stepped back. Lucas moved between Emma and Sabrina, creating a physical barrier. You don't talk to her like that, he said, low and dangerous. You don't talk to anyone in my building like that, understood? Your cleaning lady just insulted me, and you came here uninvited, interrupted a private conversation, and treated an employee like garbage. So yes, Sabrina, she had every right to answer you back. Sabrina's face was now completely red. You're defending her? Me? Or defending this nobody? Careful, Lucas warned. Be very careful with what you're about to say. For heaven's sake, Lucas, she's a cleaning lady. Are you really going to humiliate me over someone who scrubs bathrooms? Yes. The word echoed through the break room. It probably echoed across the entire floor. And at that moment, Emma realized they weren't alone. People were in the hallway. Secretaries, executives, everyone was watching. Great. Another viral video coming up. Lucas took a deep breath, trying to calm down. Emma is not just a cleaning lady. She's an employee of this company, and even if she were, that doesn't give you the right to treat her with contempt. Now, please, gather your things and get out of my building. You'll regret this, Sabrina whispered, poisonous. I doubt it. She stormed out, slamming the door. Her heels echoed down the hallway like gunshots. Emma stood there, breathing fast, trying to process what had just happened. Lucas turned to her. Are you okay? Emma let out a hysterical laugh. I'm great. I just insulted my boss's ex-fiancée and will probably get sued. Doing super well. You're not going to get sued. She hates me. She hates everyone. She especially hates me now. Lucas gave that half-smile again. You were amazing. Emma blinked. What? No one has ever talked back to her like that. It was refreshing. Refreshing? I probably just started World War III. He laughed, and despite everything that had just happened, Emma found herself laughing too. Because, in the end, it was hilarious. Tragic, but hilarious. Emma spent the rest of Friday morning trying to become invisible again. Mission impossible, considering half the 45th floor had witnessed her verbal battle with Sabrina Lowell. People stared, whispered, some with admiration, others with pity. And some, mostly the executive assistants who idolized Sabrina, with pure hatred. Emma was scrubbing the same corner of the hallway for the 4th time when he appeared again. Are you avoiding this corner, or do you have something against it? Lucas asked, hands in his pockets, with that annoyingly casual smile. Emma dropped the cloth. You again? Seriously, you need to wear a bell or something. Noted. I'll add that to my list of personal improvements. What do you want now? Lunch. Emma blinked. Excuse me? Lunch. That meal that happens between breakfast and dinner. I know what lunch is. Why are you telling me about lunch? Lucas shrugged, as if the answer was obvious. Because I want to have lunch with you. Silence. Emma looked at him, then glanced around to see if there was a hidden camera. Some prank show? Some rational explanation? No, she finally said. No, definitely not. Why not? Because you are you and I am me, and your ex-fiancé just publicly hated me, and people already think something is going on, and I clean bathrooms, Lucas. He blinked at her outburst. And you want to have lunch with me in the rooftop restaurant where everyone will see and gossip and create conspiracy theories. Who said it would be in the restaurant? Emma stopped. Then where? Still on the rooftop, but in my private office, just the two of us. Somehow that was worse. That's even stranger. Why? Because it sounds, I don't know, suspicious. Lucas sighed, running a hand through his hair, the gesture Emma was starting to recognize as a sign of frustration. Emma, I just want to have lunch with you. No audience, no pressure, just food and conversation. Is that really so unreasonable? Yes, Emma wanted to shout. Yes, it was completely unreasonable. You're a billionaire and I can barely afford Friday pizza. But the way he looked at her, as if her answer truly mattered. Fine, she said, against every survival instinct. But if it's fancy food that needs 4 different forks, I'm leaving. He smiled. That genuine smile that lit up his entire face. No multiple forks, I promise. The rooftop restaurant was exactly how Emma imagined the paradise of the wealthy. Glass ceiling, plants everywhere, tables with white cloths, so spotless they looked like they had never been touched. And everyone looked when she walked in. Emma was still in uniform, because of course she didn't have time to change, and she felt like a fish out of water, or better, like a cleaner in a 5-star restaurant. Because that's exactly what she was. Lucas guided her to a corner table by the window overlooking the whole city. Emma sat carefully, as if the chair might break. Relax, Lucas said, sitting across from her. It's just lunch. Easy for you to say. You were probably born knowing how to use a fish fork. Fish fork? I don't know. Rich people have forks for everything. He laughed, loud and genuine, and people looked even more. A waiter appeared, wearing a vest and tie, of course, and handed them menus that looked more like leather-bound books. Emma opened hers and almost fainted. Everything was in French. She started, looking desperately at Lucas. What do you recommend? The salmon is good, or the risotto. Great, I'll have the... She looked at the menu again, trying to pronounce it. Risotto. Truffles. Perfect. The waiter wrote it down and left. Emma felt as if she had passed a test she didn't know she was taking. This is so strange, she murmured. What is? This. Us here. None of this makes sense. Lucas leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table in a way that probably broke every etiquette rule. Who said it has to make sense? Society? Logic? The entire universe? Since when do you care about those things? Emma opened her mouth to respond, but realized he had a point. She never cared. She always did what she had to do, without worrying too much about social rules. Touché, she admitted. The food arrived, and Emma immediately panicked at the number of utensils. Small fork, large fork, serrated knife, smooth knife, and a spoon that looked decorative. Why do you need 5 utensils to eat one dish? She whispered, horrified. Lucas was clearly trying not to laugh. Start from the outside and work your way in. That doesn't help me at all. Or, he pushed the extra utensils aside. Do what I do, ignore them and use only what you need. Emma looked at him, shocked. You can do that? I can do whatever I want. I'm the CEO. That's abuse of power. It's efficiency. Emma laughed, grabbed the middle fork, and started eating. The risotto was incredible, probably the best she had ever tasted. Good? Lucas asked. If I say yes, will you become unbearable? Probably. So it's awful, the worst food of my life. He smiled, and then Emma realized something. She was having fun. For real. She wasn't thinking about bills, rent, or the fact that her life was a mess. She was just there. In the moment. Laughing at silly jokes with a man who in theory should be light years away from her. Can I ask you something? Lucas said after a moment. As long as it's not about my plans for the future, because I don't have any. No, it's about Sabrina. Were you scared when she showed up? Emma thought for a moment, chewing slowly. Not really. I mean, she's intimidating. But I don't know. I've been humiliated by worse people. At least she wore expensive heels to do it. Lucas laughed, but there was something sad in the sound. I'm sorry about that, about the way she treated you. You don't have to apologize for your crazy ex-fiancé. Crazy ex-fiancé. Even worse. They ate in silence for a moment. You know what's funny? Emma said suddenly. A week ago, I didn't even know you existed. I mean, I knew the CEO existed, but you were like an urban legend. And now I'm here eating French food I can't pronounce. And it's surreal, like really surreal. Lucas looked at her with that intensity again. Do you regret it? Regret what? Sharing the cake with me, standing up to Sabrina, being here now? Emma thought, really thought. No, she admitted quietly. Not yet. Not yet? Ask me again when I get fired. He laughed, and Emma realized with a mix of terror and excitement that she liked that sound. Maybe too much. When they finished, having eaten only half the food because they spent more time laughing than chewing, Lucas walked her to the elevator. Thanks for lunch, Emma said, even if it was extremely weird. You're welcome. Can we do it again? You really don't give up, do you? Not when I find something worthwhile. Emma felt her face warm. That was very direct. I know. The elevator doors opened. Emma stepped in and turned to him. See you later, cake thief. See you later, nobody important. And as the doors closed, Emma couldn't stop smiling, even knowing it would all end in disaster. Monday arrived with the subtlety of a runaway truck. Emma was in the supply room organizing cleaning products, because her life had supposedly gone back to normal, when Jessica showed up with that look of someone carrying heavy gossip. You need to hear this, she said, closing the door behind her. Emma dropped the bottle of disinfectant. If it's about the rooftop lunch, everyone already knows. I know everyone knows. I saw the looks. It's not about lunch, it's worse. Emma felt her stomach sink. How much worse? Worse as in the executive board is talking about you worse. The board? Why? Jessica looked around as if the walls had ears, which, in a company like Westcorp, they probably did. Andrew Luther is saying that you, she hesitated, that you're manipulating Lucas. Emma blinked once, twice, then laughed, loud. Manipulating? Me? The man with an MBA from Harvard who runs a billion-dollar company? I know, it's ridiculous. But Andrew is convincing the board that you're a, I don't know, gold digger, social climber. He's using every term possible. Emma stopped laughing. Wait, he really thinks I'm trying to scam Lucas? He doesn't think it, he's using it as an excuse. Andrew has wanted Lucas's position for years, and apparently you're the perfect ammunition. Great. Emma sat down on a box of toilet paper because her life had reached that point. I've become a piece on a corporate chessboard, always wanted that. Jessica sat down next to her. There's more. Of course there is. He's suggesting that you be relocated. Relocated? Emma raised an eyebrow. Is that corporate code for firing? Sort of. He wants to transfer you to the night shift in the basement, basically hide you. Emma felt something tighten in her chest. It wasn't exactly fear. It was something worse. It was the confirmation that she would never be enough. You know what's funny? She said, her voice low. I always knew this would happen. I always knew I didn't belong in this world, but some stupid part of me thought that. I don't know, that maybe this time it would be different. Emma? No, it's okay. It actually makes sense. Corporate Politics 101, eliminate the weak piece. You're not weak. Jessica, I clean bathrooms. Literally. They have meetings about million-dollar acquisitions. Of course I'm the weak piece. She stood up, brushing invisible dust off her pants. I'm going to quit. What? Yes, before they humiliate me even more, before Lucas has to choose between me and his company. Emma, he's not going to let you walk away like that. He won't have a choice. Emma spent the rest of the day avoiding Lucas. It wasn't hard. He had meetings all day. Meetings that, she later found out, were exactly about her. At 5 in the afternoon, just as she was about to leave, Margaret, the secretary, intercepted her. Mr. West wants to see you now. Emma took a deep breath. Of course he does. His office had the blinds closed. That was never a good sign. Lucas was standing in front of the window, hands in his pockets, shoulders tense. Sit, he said without turning. Emma sat on the edge of the chair, ready to run. He finally turned, and he looked exhausted. You heard? About the board wanting to send me to the basement? I heard. Andrew is doing this on purpose to throw me off. I know. I won't let him. Emma gave a sad smile. Lucas, you can't fight the whole board over a cleaning lady. Stop calling yourself that. That's what I am. No. He slammed his hand on the desk, not in anger, in frustration. You are not just a cleaning lady. You're smart, funny, brave. You face crazy ex-fiancés. You call me a cake thief to my face. You are." He stopped and took a deep breath. "You're the most real person I've met in years." Emma felt her eyes burn. "That doesn't matter. Not in the real world. In the real world, I don't belong here, and you know it. I don't accept that. You don't have a choice. Andrew's right. I'm a distraction. You have a company to run, shareholders, employees, responsibilities that go beyond." She gestured between them. "This." Lucas came around the desk, stopped in front of her. "What if I don't want to choose?" "Then you're more idealistic than I thought." He ran a hand through his hair. That frustrated gesture Emma knew so well now. "Let me handle this. I'll talk to Andrew. I'll talk to the board." "And say what? That the cleaning lady isn't after your money? That she just wants to live her life in peace? They won't believe you. They'll think you're blind or manipulated or worse." "I don't care." "But I do." Emma stood. "I care because I don't want to be the reason your company collapses. I don't want to be the joke. The girl who thought she could have something with a billionaire." "Emma, I'm going to resign tomorrow before the board meeting." "No, it's not your decision." "It is if I make it." Emma laughed, without humor. "You're going to force me to stay? Very CEO of you." Lucas closed his eyes, took a deep breath. "Give me a week. 1 week to fix this. 1 week won't change anything. Let me try." Emma looked at him, the tired face, the eyes asking for more than words. And against all instinct, she agreed. 1 week. "But Lucas," she hesitated, "if it doesn't work, I leave and you let me." He didn't answer. He just nodded. Emma left the office feeling worse than when she entered. She walked down the hallway with her head down, trying to ignore the stares. That's when she saw Andrew Luther. Tall, expensive suit, a smile that never reached his eyes. He stopped her in the hallway. "Emma Sullivan, right?" "Depends on who's asking." "Andrew Luther, partner at the company." "I know who you are." He smiled, that kind of shark smile. "Then you also know I'm trying to help." "Help who?" "Lucas, the company, all of us, really." "Oh yes, very altruistic of you wanting to fire me to help." "It's not personal, it's business." Lucas is distracted, and distractions are expensive in our world. Emma crossed her arms. "And you want his chair?" "That's not personal either, I guess." Andrew raised an eyebrow, impressed. "You're smarter than I thought. Everyone's smarter than you think, you just don't pay attention." "Touche." He adjusted his tie. "But I'll give you some free advice. Leave now while you still have dignity, because when the board decides, you won't have a choice, and it will be much more humiliating." Veiled threats. How original. "It's not a threat. It's reality." Emma stepped forward, small but firm. "You know the difference between you and Lucas? He sees people and you see chess pieces. And in the end, people always win." She walked past him, leaving Andrew standing in the hallway. But as she entered the elevator, Emma couldn't stop thinking. What if he was right? What if she really was just a distraction? A weak piece in a game she should never have entered. The doors closed, and Emma decided 1 week. After that, she would disappear, before Lucas had to choose between her and everything he had built. Because she already knew the ending to this story. And it was never her who won. Emma didn't sleep that night. She lay staring at the ceiling of her tiny apartment, listening to the neighbor play drums at 3 in the morning, because of course he would on this night, and trying to convince herself she was doing the right thing. 1 week, Lucas had asked. But Emma knew endings, and this one would not be happy. So at 5 o'clock on Tuesday morning, she made the hardest decision of her life. She was leaving. Not the city, not immediately, but Westcorp, Lucas, all of it. Everything that, for 2 incredible and absurd weeks, had made her feel seen. Because sometimes loving someone meant stepping out of the way, even if it hurt like hell. Emma arrived at the building at 6 a.m., as always. But this time, she didn't grab the cleaning cart, didn't put on the apron, just went straight up to the 45th floor, to the one place where it had all begun. The kitchen was empty, silent, exactly like that night with the cake. She took a piece of paper, actually a napkin, and wrote with the pen she had in her pocket, "Thank you for sharing the cake." That was all. Because what else could she say? Sorry for being a distraction? Thank you for making me feel special for 2 weeks? You'll be fine without me, but I'll probably never get over you. No, simple was better. Emma left the note on the counter, the same place where Lucas had eaten half her cake and left. She went down to the lobby, returned her badge at the reception desk. The attendant looked puzzled but didn't ask anything. And then Emma walked down Broadway Avenue toward the bus station, with a backpack on her shoulders and a heart broken into pieces she pretended not to feel. Lucas arrived at the office at 7:30. He had spent the whole night awake preparing arguments for the board meeting. Numbers, strategies, ways to prove that Emma wasn't a distraction but rather, well, he still hadn't figured out how to describe what Emma was. Real. That was the closest word. He needed coffee. That bad coffee from the staff kitchen he had somehow started to like. He went into the kitchen, saw the napkin, picked it up, read it, and the world stopped. Thank you for sharing the cake. No. Lucas ran to Margaret's office. Emma, where's Emma? Margaret looked over her glasses, confused. Sullivan? I haven't seen her today. She starts at 6. She's always here at 6. Not today, sir. Lucas was already running to the elevators, dialing her cell phone, which went straight to voicemail because of course it did. Where are you? He muttered, going down to the lobby. Where did you go? The receptionist raised her hand timidly. Mr. West? Miss Sullivan returned her badge 20 minutes ago. Lucas's heart sank. Did she say where she was going? No, sir. She just returned it and left. Lucas ran out, literally ran. Through the lobby, through the revolving door, down the sidewalk, in cold October Boise, still in his suit, without a jacket, looking completely crazy. People stopped to stare. Is that Lucas West? Someone murmured. Why is he running? Another asked. Lucas didn't care. He just kept running. She didn't have a car, so either she was on foot or taking the bus. And knowing Emma, stubborn, practical, always thinking about money, probably the bus. The bus station was 4 blocks away. Lucas ran all 4 like he was either running from something or toward something. He arrived out of breath, sweating, with his heart pounding so hard he thought it might explode. And he saw her. On the other side of the platform, backpack on her shoulders, looking at the bus schedules as if deciding where to go. Emma, she turned, her eyes widened. Lucas, what are you? How did you? He crossed the platform in 3 long strides, stopping in front of her, still trying to catch his breath. You, he panted, were leaving? Without telling me. I left a note. A napkin. You left a napkin. It was poetic. It was cowardly. Emma stepped back as if she had been slapped. Cowardly? Me? I'm doing this for you. Running away? That's for me? Yes, because you have a company to run, shareholders, a board that hates you because of me. I'm not going to be the reason your life falls apart. My life was already falling apart, Lucas shouted, and several people in the station turned to look. Before you, before the cake, I was empty, doing meaningless meetings, dinners that lasted hours, living on autopilot. Emma blinked, eyes starting to fill. Lucas, you showed up with your $7.99 cake and called me a thief. You spilled coffee on me. You stood up to my ex-fiancé. You made me laugh, Emma, really laugh, for the first time in years. That doesn't change the fact that I don't belong in your world. Then I'll leave my world. Silence. Total. Absolute. Even the pigeons stopped making noise. Emma looked at him as if he had gone insane. You? What? You heard me. If the problem is the world, I'll change worlds. You can't just leave your company. I can fire Andrew, restructure the board, hand the CEO job to someone else. Whatever it takes. You're crazy. Probably. You've lost your mind, definitely. Lucas, you can't throw everything away for a girl you've known for 2 weeks. He took a step forward, then another, until he was so close Emma could see the traces of sleeplessness in his eyes. It's not because of, it's in spite of, he said quietly. In spite of meeting you 2 weeks ago, in spite of you cleaning bathrooms and me signing $1 million contracts, in spite of everyone saying it doesn't make sense, I don't care, because for the first time in my life, something actually makes sense, and it's you. A tear slid down Emma's cheek. This is madness. I know. You're gonna regret it. Impossible. How can you be so sure? Lucas smiled, that small smile Emma knew so well. Because you stole my heart before I could steal another cake from you. Emma let out a tearful laugh. That was the worst line you've ever said. I know, it was terrible. Awful. Horrendous. You need romance lessons. Can you teach me? Emma looked at him, at that sincere face, at the eyes asking for more than words. And she made the bravest decision of her life. All right, she whispered, but if you regret it, I won't. If the board hates you, let them. If I mess everything up, impossible. Lucas took her hand, interlaced their fingers. Stay, please. Just stay. Emma looked at her backpack, at the bus that was arriving, at the ticket in her pocket. Then she looked at Lucas and dropped the backpack. You're insane, she said. Completely, he agreed. This is going to be a disaster. Probably. Everyone will talk. Let them. Emma shook her head, laughing and crying at the same time. All right, I'll stay, but only because you ran like a maniac for 4 blocks, and that was kind of adorable. Lucas pulled her into a hug, right there in the middle of the bus station, with dozens of people watching and taking photos. And Emma, for the first time in years, felt at home. They didn't go straight back to Westcorp. Instead, Lucas did something completely out of character. He called Margaret, canceled all his meetings for the day, and took Emma to a small, forgotten cafe in downtown Boise. It wasn't fancy. The chairs didn't match, indie music played softly, and the coffee was served in chipped mugs. It was perfect. This is so different from the rooftop restaurant, Emma said, her eyes still red from crying. Better? Lucas asked. Much better. Here I can use just 1 fork without being judged. He laughed, and Emma realized she was starting to get addicted to that sound. They ordered coffee, black for him with milk and 3 sugar packets for her, and sat in a quiet corner by the window. For a moment, they just stayed there, in silence, comfortable, until Lucas broke it with the most unexpected question. Have you ever felt lonely even when you're surrounded by people? Emma looked at him, surprised. Every day of my life? Why? He stirred his coffee, avoiding eye contact. Because, me too, and I always thought it was just me. Emma felt something tighten in her chest, not from pain, from recognition. Lucas, you literally have thousands of people around you all the time. Flatterers, he corrected, bitter. People who want something, my money, my influence, my approval. No one wants me. I do, Emma said, simple and honest. Lucas looked up, and there was something vulnerable in his eyes, something broken. Why? He asked softly. Why don't you want something from me? Emma shrugged. Because I don't need anything you have. Your money doesn't pay my rent. Your influence doesn't fix my leaky apartment. Your approval doesn't bring my parents back. She hesitated, stirring her own coffee. I just like you. The man who steals cake, who laughs when coffee gets spilled on him, who runs like crazy for 4 blocks looking insane. That man. I like him a lot. Lucas stayed quiet for a moment, then let out a low, almost disbelieving laugh. No one has ever said that to me before. Really? No one? Not like that. Not for real. Emma leaned forward. Then let me tell you a secret. You're much more interesting without the $4,000 suit. $3,000, he corrected, smiling. Doesn't matter. Still way too expensive. They laughed, but the laughter faded slowly, and the silence returned, heavier this time. Lucas took a deep breath. I grew up poor, he said suddenly. Really poor. My mom worked 3 jobs. My dad, well, he didn't stick around long enough to matter. Emma didn't say anything. She just listened. I promised myself I'd never live like that again, that I'd never depend on anyone, that I'd have so much money no one could ever hurt me. And I did it. I built all of this on my own. But in the process, he hesitated, I forgot how to let someone in. Until the cake, Emma finished softly. Even the cake, he agreed with a half smile. You broke down all my defenses with $7.99 of cheap chocolate. Technically, you broke mine by stealing half of it. Details. Emma smiled but felt her eyes sting again. Can I tell you a secret too? Please. She took a deep breath. It never got easier. My parents died in a car accident when I was 19. They were coming back from a surprise trip to pick me up from college, the one I had just dropped out of because I couldn't afford it. They spent money they didn't have on a trip to make me feel better. And they died on the way back. Lucas took her hand across the table, steady, present. Emma, I always thought it was my fault. If I hadn't dropped out of college, they wouldn't have gone. If I had been stronger, smarter, more anything, they'd still be here. It wasn't your fault. I know. Rationally, I know. But here, she tapped her chest, here it still hurts like it was. A tear slipped out, then another. Emma quickly wiped them with the back of her hand. Sorry. That got heavy. Don't be sorry. Never apologize for feeling. Emma let out a damp laugh. Look at us. 2 completely broken people drinking coffee and sharing traumas. We're a walking cliché. The best cliché I've ever seen. They were quiet again, but it was different now. Lighter, as if sharing their wounds had made both of them less heavy. You know what's funny? Emma said, wiping her face. Before that night, I had given up on dreaming, on wanting anything more than just surviving, and then you showed up and ate half my cake and… I don't know. Something woke up. What? The idea that maybe I deserve something good, something of my own. Like that cafe I always wanted. Lucas smiled. Tell me more. There's not much to tell, just a small cozy cafe where people can go when they feel lonely, where every customer has a name and isn't just another number, where the cake is cheap but made with love. Why don't you do it? Emma laughed. With what money? I barely pay rent. I could. No, she cut him off firmly. I won't let you pay. That will be mine. When it happens, it will be because I earned it. Lucas stayed quiet, then he nodded. I respect that. Thank you. But can I invest? Like officially? As an angel investor? You just agreed not to pay. Investing is different. It's business. It's the same thing. It's not. They argued for 5 minutes about the difference between a donation and an investment, laughing so much that the barista glanced at them as if they were crazy. When they finally calmed down, Emma wiped her tears, this time from laughing, and looked at Lucas with that intensity that always left him defenseless. Thank you, she said softly. For what? For making me feel like I matter, like I'm not just invisible. Lucas held her face with both hands, gentle, steady. You were never invisible, I was just blind. But now, he smiled, now I see you, completely. Emma felt her heart beat so hard she was sure he could hear it. That was very embarrassing. It was awful. Too cheesy. I agree completely, but I liked it. Me too. They stayed there, noses almost touching, smiling like fools. Can we go back to work now? Emma asked. Or did you cancel the whole day so we could sit in a cafe being sentimental? Option 2. Great, because I don't think I can handle going back today. Andrew has probably already prepared my public execution. Lucas grew serious. Leave Andrew to me. Lucas? No, really. You trusted me today. You let me find you. You let me in. Now let me protect you. Emma bit her lip. Fine. But only because you asked nicely. And because you like me. That too. Lucas kissed her forehead. Gentle. A silent promise. And there in that small, forgotten cafe, 2 broken people started to heal. Together. Emma woke up on Wednesday feeling strangely optimistic, which was dangerous. Because every time she felt optimistic, the universe reminded her it had a cruel sense of humor. She was making coffee in her tiny apartment kitchen when her phone rang. Jessica. Did you see? Her voice was tense, worried. See what? It's 7 in the morning. I barely saw my own face in the mirror. Emma, you need to see. See what, Jessica? You're scaring me. Open any social media now. Emma felt her stomach turn. Nothing good ever started with open social media now. She grabbed her phone, opened it, and saw. It was everywhere. Gold Digger Gate, West Corp scandal, Dirty Cinderella. There were photos, dozens of them, Emma and Lucas, but they weren't just normal photos. They were manipulated. Emma accepting an envelope full of money. Emma entering a luxury hotel with Lucas. Emma wearing expensive clothes she had never seen in her life. And the headlines, Cleaner seduces billionaire CEO, the scam of the century, Emma Sullivan from cleaning to social climber. Inside sources, she planned it all from the start. Emma felt her legs go weak. She sat on the kitchen floor, still holding her phone. Emma? Jessica called from the other side. Are you there? Her voice came out faint. These photos, Jessica, it's all lies, every bit of it. I know. Everyone who knows you knows. But no one knows me, Emma finished, bitter. Except you. And now the whole world thinks I'm a con artist. Westcorp has already released a statement. Lucas is furious. He's going to sue everyone. It won't matter. The damage is done. Emma hung up, tossed the phone onto the couch, and let out a hysterical laugh. Because of course this would happen. She had 24 hours of happiness, and the universe said, no, not even that. At Westcorp's office, Lucas was having the worst day of his life. The 45th floor conference room was packed. Executive board, lawyers, PR team, everyone talking at once. We need to release a statement denying everything. We already did, and no one believes it. Shares have dropped 3 points. Shareholders are furious. You need to distance yourself from her publicly. Lucas slammed his hand on the table. The sound echoed like a gunshot. No. Silence. Andrew, Luther. sitting at the far end of the table with that satisfied smile, leaned forward. Lucas, be rational. This girl is destroying your reputation. The girl has a name and you're destroying hers. We? Andrew pretended to be surprised. We're not the ones who leaked those photos. Of course you were, Lucas hissed. You and Sabrina. I know it was you. Prove it. Lucas clenched his fists, because he couldn't prove it. Not yet. The company's legal director, a man named Richard with gray hair and glasses, cleared his throat. Mr. West, with all due respect, from a legal standpoint, the best option is to distance yourself publicly from Miss Sullivan until this is resolved. And leave her to be torn apart alone? Never. So you're choosing her over the company? Andrew asked, his voice dangerous. I'm choosing to do what's right. What's right will bankrupt your company. Andrew stood up. The board will vote to remove you. You know that. Let them vote. The room exploded in shocked whispers. Lucas stood up too, looking straight at Andrew. You can have the chair, the title, everything, but you won't get what you really want from her. And what would that be? To see me broken. Andrew smiled, that shark smile. Already did. Emma spent the day locked in her apartment, not because she was afraid, because she was tired. Tired of fighting, of explaining, of trying to prove she wasn't the monster they painted. The phone wouldn't stop ringing. Unknown numbers. Reporters wanting interviews, strangers wanting to insult her. A man offering money for her side of the story. She turned the phone off. At 2 p.m, someone knocked on the door. Emma looked through the peephole. Lucas, she opened slowly. He looked terrible. Messy hair, dark circles under his eyes, and a wrinkled suit. Hi, he said, his voice hoarse. Hi, Emma answered. They stood there looking at each other. You saw it? Lucas asked. Everyone saw it. Emma, I swear I'm going to fix this. I'll sue. I'll find out who did it. Lucas, she interrupted, tired. Stop. He stopped. You can't fix this? No one can. The story's already been told. And no one will believe the real version when the lie is more interesting. I don't accept that. You need to accept it. Emma leaned on the doorframe, exhausted. Because I have. Accepted what? That I'm never going to win. That people like me don't get happy endings. That the universe really does have something against me. Lucas took a step forward. Emma? You know what's the funny part? She let out a humorless laugh. The headlines, like this one, Dirty Cinderella. Creative, right? Because regular Cinderella wasn't insult enough. They had to add dirty to make it clear. Don't read those things. How can I not? It's everywhere. There are threads about me. People convinced I'm a fraud. Did you know there are bets on how long before I mysteriously disappear? That's ridiculous. It's the internet, Emma shrugged. It's always ridiculous, cruel, and unfair. Lucas stepped into the apartment and closed the door behind him. Look at me, he said. Emma didn't look. Emma, please. She raised her eyes. They were red and tired. They want me to give up on you, Lucas said firmly. The board, Andrew, Sabrina, all of them. They say it's better for the company, for me, for everyone. Emma felt her heart tighten. And will you? Never. Lucas, I don't care if I lose everything, the company, the money, the reputation. None of it matters if I lose you in the process. Emma felt the tears start to come. You can't say things like that. Why not? Because it makes me hope. And hope hurts when it's taken away. Lucas cupped her face in both hands. Then let it hurt, but don't give up, not now. I'm tired of fighting. I know, so let me fight for you. Emma closed her eyes, tears slipping down. They're gonna destroy you. Let them try. You'll lose everything. I already lost everything once, rebuilt from scratch, and I can do it again. Emma opened her eyes. Why? Why are you doing this? Lucas smiled. That small, honest smile. Because you stole my heart when I stole your cake, and now we're even. Emma let out a tearful laugh. That was terrible. It was awful. You really need to stop with these lines. Never. She pulled him into a hug, tight and desperate. I'm scared, she whispered against his shoulder. So am I, he admitted, but we'll be scared together. And there, in that tiny apartment with leaks and a noisy neighbor, surrounded by lies and the hatred of the whole world, they decided to fight, together, even if the entire world was against them. The press conference was scheduled for Thursday, 10 a.m. Lucas had been pressured by the board, the lawyers, the PR team. You need to make a statement, control the narrative, save the company. What none of them knew was that Lucas West wasn't planning to save the company. He was planning something much riskier, something completely insane. Emma was watching from home, not because she wanted to, but because Jessica had called 14 times saying, "You need to see this," until Emma finally gave in and turned on the TV. The West Corp event hall was packed, reporters, cameras, executives, everyone waiting for Lucas to do what they wanted, throw Emma under the bus and move on. Emma felt her stomach twist. "He's not going to do it," she murmured to herself. "He promised." But a part of her, the tired, wounded part, whispered, "But what if he does?" Lucas walked into the hall, perfect suit, perfect posture, serious face, but Emma knew that look. There was something there, something dangerous. He stepped onto the small stage, adjusted the microphone, and looked directly at the camera. "Good morning," he began, voice steady. "Thank you for coming. I know you're all expecting an official statement about the recent events." Absolute silence. "And I will give a statement, just not the one you expect." Emma leaned forward in her chair. Lucas took a deep breath. "Emma Sullivan is not a gold digger, not a social climber, not any of the horrible things the internet invented. She is." He paused, and for the first time smiled. "She's the woman who called me a cake thief, and she was right." Murmurs exploded in the hall. 3 weeks ago I ate half of her birthday cake, without asking and without knowing it was hers. Because I can be kind of an idiot sometimes. A few nervous laughs. "And since then, my life has been turned upside down. She spilled coffee on me, stood up to my ex-fiancé, made me laugh when I'd forgotten how, made me feel something when I was completely empty." Emma felt her eyes sting. "The photos that circulated are fake and manipulated, and I will sue every person involved down to the last cent. But this isn't about that. It's about..." He stopped, looked straight into the camera, as if he were looking right at Emma through the screen. "It's about the fact that I spent 32 years building walls, and a girl with a $7.99 cake knocked them all down." The hall was utterly silent now. Lucas stepped down from the stage. "Mr. West," a reporter called, "where are you going?" "To finish this the right way." And he walked out. Just walked out, in the middle of the press conference, broadcast live, with millions watching. Emma jumped off the couch. "What is he doing?" She shouted at the phone, where Jessica was watching too. "I don't know, but it looks like he's lost his mind." Lucas West doesn't lose his mind. He's rational, controlled. He doesn't walk out in the middle of a press conference. Apparently now he does. Emma started pacing her apartment. "He's going to lose everything. The board will take him down, and Andrew will take over. This is corporate suicide. Or the most romantic gesture in history. Jessica, this isn't a movie." "Not yet," she answered, cryptic. 20 minutes later, Emma heard pounding at the door, loud and insistent. She opened it. Lucas West was there, breathless, sweating, holding a small cardboard box from Walmart, bakery section. "You," Emma began, stunned. "You bought cake?" "I did," he confirmed, still trying to catch his breath. "In the middle of a corporate crisis, I walked out of the press conference, took the car, went to Walmart, bought a chocolate cake, $7.99. Emma looked at the box, at him, back at the box. "You've lost your mind. Completely. You just blew up your career." "Probably. And you bought cake." It seemed appropriate. Emma didn't know whether to laugh or cry, so she did both. Lucas stepped into the apartment, set the little box down on the coffee table, the same one with a broken leg propped up by old books. "Emma Sullivan," he began, far too formal for the ridiculous situation. "3 weeks ago I stole your cake, and without meaning to, you stole my heart." "Lucas, let me finish, please." Emma closed her mouth. He opened the box. The cake was there, whole, untouched, with that familiar plastic-like frosting. And then Lucas West, CEO of a billion-dollar company, Harvard graduate, helicopter owner, knelt down on the floor of the leaky apartment, holding the cake. "Marry me," he said. Emma blinked. "What? Marry me? Before I steal another cake of yours." Silence. Absolute total. Emma looked at him, at the cake, then back at him. You're asking me to marry you with a supermarket cake on the floor of my apartment after blowing up your career live on TV. Yes, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. I know. And the most romantic too." Lucas smiled, that genuine smile that lit everything up. "So, is that a yes?" Emma sat down on the floor in front of him, grabbed a spoon, because apparently there was always a spoon nearby. It was their destiny. "Are you sure?" she asked, serious now. Because the board will crucify you. Andrew will take over and you'll lose everything. I told you, I can rebuild everything except you. People will talk. Let them. It will be hard. I know. We'll probably be poor. I have a few million saved. That buys a lot of cake. Emma laughed, crying happy and terrified at the same time. You're insane. Completely. This makes no sense. Nothing in our story makes sense. True. She took a spoonful of cake. It started with you stealing half. It makes sense to end by sharing the whole thing. So is that a yes? Emma looked into his eyes, the eyes that had become hers, the eyes that truly saw her. Yes, she whispered. I'll marry you, cake thief. Lucas pulled her into a kiss, right there on the floor, with Walmart cake between them. And when they pulled apart, laughing and crying, Emma noticed something. There was a camera at the window. Lucas, she pointed, horrified. He looked and shrugged. Let it. The whole world has already seen me lose my mind. They should see the good part too. The video went viral in 17 minutes. Shash cake wedding, cake thief, best proposal ever. 20 million views in 1 hour. 50 million in 3. And among the comments, a reply from a verified account called Sabrina Lowell Official, I lost. Followed by another from Andrew Luther CEO, the board voted, you're out west. And a third from Lucas West Official, great, I was thinking of opening a coffee shop anyway. Emma read it, reread it, and burst out laughing. You didn't just, I did. Lucas confirmed, taking another spoonful of cake. You said you wanted a coffee shop, so we'll open one. With what money? With my saved millions. Lucas. What? You said it would be hard being poor. I said I had money. You're impossible, and you love me anyway. Emma stopped, looked at him. I do, she admitted quietly, very much. I love you too. And there, eating cheap cake on the floor of a leaky apartment, they began the rest of their lives, together. 6 months later, the sign swayed gently in the cold April wind in Boise. Half a Cake Cafe. Below, in smaller letters, where every story begins with a spoonful. Emma stood on the sidewalk, looking at the storefront with that mix of pride and disbelief that hadn't left even after 3 months of open doors. Still can't believe it's real? Lucas appeared behind her, 2 cups of coffee in his hands. No, Emma admitted, taking the cup. Every morning I wake up thinking I'll wake up again and find out it was all a dream. If it's a dream, then I'm dreaming too. And it would be strange for us to be in the same dream. We shared cake. I think sharing a dream isn't that impossible. Lucas laughed. That laugh Emma had learned to spark and loved to hear. They stepped into the cafe. The bell on the door rang. Emma had insisted on an old-fashioned bell because real coffee shops have bells on the door, and the smell of fresh coffee and newly baked cake filled the air. The place was small, cozy, mismatched chairs Emma had found in thrift stores, reclaimed wooden tables, warm lights hanging from the ceiling, and shelves full of books customers could read. And of course, the giant chalkboard on the wall with the menu written by hand. House special, stolen chocolate cake, half or whole. Emma was never going to let that joke die. Good morning, bosses. Jessica appeared from the kitchen, her apron covered in flour. We have 6 cake orders for pickup, and someone called asking if we make wedding cakes. Wedding cakes? Emma raised an eyebrow. Seriously? Yes, they saw the video and want the cake that saved the wedding of the century. Lucas almost spit out his coffee. They do know the cake was from Walmart, right? They don't care. They want the full experience, proposal included. Emma shook her head, laughing. The world has gone crazy. Or maybe we went crazy and the world finally caught up, Lucas suggested. That's also possible. The cafe door opened. A couple walked in, young, shy, clearly on a first date. Emma went over to them with that smile that made every customer feel at home. Welcome to Half a Cake? Table for 2? Yes, please, the young man said nervously. Emma led them to the table by the window. The best table in the cafe. The one with a view of Broadway Avenue, where the morning light came in just right. First time here? She asked, handing them menus. Yes, the girl answered. We heard that, well, that this place has a story. Every cafe has a story, Emma said, smiling. But ours started with a stolen cake, so it's a little different. They laughed, relaxing. Emma went back to the counter where Lucas was typing on his laptop, probably checking numbers because even without being a CEO, he couldn't stop organizing things. You really need to stop telling the cake story to everyone, Lucas muttered. Never. Emma replied firmly. It's free marketing. It's embarrassing. For you, I think it's great. Of course you do. She leaned on the counter, resting her chin in her hand, watching him work. Any regrets? She asked softly. He looked up. About what? Everything. The press conference, leaving Westcorp, investing in a cafe that might go under in 6 months. It won't go under. Lucas, seriously. He closed the laptop, took her hand. 0 regrets. Not one. You saved me, Emma, from a life that looked perfect but was empty, so no, not a single regret. Emma felt her eyes sting. Stop saying sappy things during business hours. Never. You're impossible. And you love me. Unfortunately. They smiled. The kind of smile people share when they've been through everything and survived together. That night, after the last customer left and Jessica went home, Emma and Lucas stayed alone in the cafe. It was her birthday again. 26, and for the first time in a long time, she wasn't alone. Lucas came out of the kitchen holding a small box from Walmart, bakery section. Emma started laughing before he even said anything. You didn't. I did. He set the box on the table. Tradition is tradition. You bought another $7.99 cake. Technically it's $8 now. Inflation. Emma opened the box. Chocolate cake with plastic frosting. Exactly like a year ago, but this time there were 2 candles. 2? She asked. 1 for you and 1 for me, because technically this is our birthday. We started 1 year ago with a stolen cake. Emma felt the good kind of tears forming. You're ridiculous. Totally. She lit the candles, looked at the faint light dancing in the dark cafe. Make a wish, Lucas said. I already did a year ago. What did you wish for? Emma hesitated. I wished not to feel alone. Lucas held her hand. And did it work? Emma looked around, at the cafe that was hers, at the man who was hers too, at the life she had built from scratch. It worked, she admitted quietly. It took a while, but it worked. Then make another wish, a better one. Emma closed her eyes, thought, and blew out the candles with Lucas. What did you wish for? He asked. That you never stop stealing my cake. Lucas laughed, loud and genuine. That I can promise. They grabbed 2 forks, because now they had plenty, but tradition mattered, and started eating straight from the box. You know what's funny? Emma said, mouthful of cake. A year ago I was having the worst day of my life, alone, invisible, thinking I'd never matter to anyone. And now I have my own cafe, a former CEO fiancé who became my partner, and more cake than I know what to do with. Technically I'm the majority investor, not a partner. Details. Important. Boring. They laughed. 8 more cake, and for a moment, everything was perfect. Emma, Lucas said. Boom. Thank you. For what? For letting me steal your cake, your life, and your heart. Emma rolled her eyes, but she was smiling. You didn't steal anything. I gave it willingly, after a lot of your annoying persistence. Fair enough. They finished the cake in silence. The good kind of silence. The kind that only exists between people who don't need to fill the empty spaces, because they've already filled each other. Happy birthday, Emma Sullivan, Lucas said, raising the last piece of cake as a toast. Happy birthday, cake thief, Emma replied, clinking with her own piece. And there in the cafe that was born from a stolen cake, surrounded by dreams fulfilled and scars healed, they ate the last bite, together, as it would always be from then on. Because some stories begin with sad endings, but this one began with stolen cake and ended with love shared. Fork by fork, spoonful by spoonful, forever. And so ends the story of Emma and Lucas, which began with a stolen cake and ended with love shared, fork by fork, spoonful by spoonful. What did you think of this journey of the $7.99 cake that changed 2 lives forever? Did you connect more with Emma, the invisible woman who just wanted to be seen, or with Lucas, the lonely man surrounded by luxury but empty inside? What was your favorite moment? The cake theft, the coffee mishap, the ridiculous proposal, or the ending at Half a Cake Cafe? Leave your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to know if you laughed, got emotional, or even felt like stealing a cake yourself. We don't recommend it, but we'd understand. On a scale of 0 to 10, what rating would you give this story? And most importantly, do you believe that love can begin in absurd and unlikely ways? That sometimes all it takes is one spoonful of courage to change everything. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to receive more emotional, funny, and surprising stories like this one. See you in the next story. And who knows, maybe next time it will be about stolen cookies or spilled coffee. After all, the best loves always begin with the most unexpected disasters. See you next time.